American couple Louise and Ben Dalton are traveling in Italy with their daughter Agnes. Their marriage is struggling, mainly due to Louise's infidelity, and they're hoping this trip will help them reconnect. While in Italy, they meet and befriend a British couple, Patty and Kiera, along with their son Ant, who's around Agnes's age.
You can be a bit insecure.
Ant, however, can't speak due to being born with a smaller tongue. Louise and Ben find Patty and Kiera intriguing because they have such a different energy. Fun, lively, and seemingly carefree. After returning home to London, Louise and Ben receive a letter from Patty and Kiera inviting them to their farmhouse in the countryside. Hoping the change of scenery will revitalize their marriage, the Daltons decide to go.
Don't even have any neighbors?
When they arrive, Patty and Kiera welcome them warmly, but things quickly feel off. The couple starts to come across as manipulative and a bit unpleasant. They serve goose for dinner, ignoring the fact that Louise is vegetarian, and pressure her into eating it.
Very good.
Not only do Patty and Kiera subtly cross boundaries, but their harsh treatment of Ant also bothers Louise and Ben. The next evening, the adults go out for dinner, leaving Agnes and Ant with a babysitter, Mujid, which makes the Daltons uneasy. During dinner, Patty challenges Louise's vegetarianism, subtly accusing her of hypocrisy for still eating fish. On top of that, Patty and Kiera's overly sexual behavior makes the evening uncomfortable for Louise and Ben. Later, Louise finds Agnes in bed with a half-naked Patty and Kiera. Horrified, she wakes Ben, and they flee. But Agnes realizes she left her stuffed rabbit behind, so they reluctantly return to the farmhouse. Back at the farmhouse, Patty and Kiera press them about why they left without saying anything.
You flipped out and tried to leave without saying goodbye?
After hearing the Daltons' concerns, Patty and Kiera suddenly become apologetic, convincing the Daltons to stay to keep the peace. However, Patty's odd behavior continues.
I'm sorry, Louise.
Louise, is there anything you'd like to say?
While drunk, he shows aggression toward Ant for not meeting his expectations during a dance routine.
In your feet, right? 1, 2, 3. No! Patty!
What is wrong with you?
Now you're parenting our child.
Ant, meanwhile, steals a keychain while Patty is napping and takes Agnes to a locked basement. Inside, they find stolen belongings and a photo album of different families with their children, each photo showing Patty and Kiera with a different child. Agnes realizes that Patty and Kiera are serial killers who lure families to their farmhouse, rob and kill them, and cut out their children's tongues to use them in their next scheme. Agnes cleverly finds a way to secretly inform Louise and Ben of her discovery. Terrified, the family decides to leave without raising suspicion.
Yeah, we're all good.
But Patty and Kiera figure it out. They start to toy with the Daltons, like cats playing with their prey.
Oh no, that is really bad luck.
As the Daltons drive off, Patty throws Ant, who can't swim, into a pond. Ben jumps in to save him, but in the chaos, the family is captured by Patty and Kiera. After being forced to transfer money, Patty tries to sedate Agnes to cut out her tongue. In a final act of desperation, the family and Ant manage to escape to the house and engage in a life-or-death fight with Patty and Kiera.
Mom?
Speak No Evil is the 2024 American remake of the 2022 Danish film of the same name. While it shares the same title and general plot, the 2024 version differs in significant ways from the original. I'll dive into this more in a bit, but most notably, the endings are completely different, making the two films feel like twins with totally different fates. This review will contain spoilers, so be warned. Let's start with the main characters. The setups are quite similar. In the new film, we have Louise, Ben, and Agnes, and in the original, it's Louise, Björn, and Agnes. For the serial killer couple and the hostage boy, the American version gives us Patty, Kiera, and Ant, while the Danish film features Patrick, Karen, and Abel. The biggest difference between the two films lies in the portrayal of the main couple. In the Danish version, Louise and Björn are portrayed as naive and somewhat helpless. At times, their timidity feels almost frustrating, and while their characters might seem unrealistic, they also feel authentic in a strange way. You could imagine that there are people like them, too polite and lacking common sense. This frustration builds as the story progresses, making the tragic ending even harder to watch. In the 2024 version, however, Louise and Ben feel more relatable and normal, if you will. They react more reasonably to the escalating danger, and it's less painful to watch them because they stand up for themselves when their lives or their daughter's safety are on the line. I was actually worried before watching the remake, knowing how disturbing the original was, and with James Watkins directing. He's known for Eden Lake, which is an amazing film, but one of the most traumatic I've seen. I was expecting the new Speak No Evil to be just as tough to watch, but I was pleasantly surprised.
Totally had that. We totally had you, right?
What's really interesting is how small tweaks to the characters' personalities completely change the tone and even the ending.
Please, could you stop telling my daughter what to do?
In the 2022 version, the message is clear. Politeness. Here, Patrick accuses it of being dishonesty, can get you killed. The blame falls on Louise and Björn for their inability to fight back. Even when they realize they're about to die, they remain passive. It's so frustrating that, as a viewer, you almost turn against them. Why don't they fight? Why don't they at least try to save their daughter before Mujid cuts out her tongue? Are they so panicked that they're frozen? Or do they truly believe that if they don't make a fuss, Patrick and Karen will show mercy and let them go? Whatever the case, betraying their hopes, the serial killer couple stones them to death as if mocking them. To add an extra layer of bitterness, there's the Bible verse, "He who is without sin, let him cast the first stone." It leaves a bad taste because by the end you almost blame the good couple. They act against their survival instincts, and they come across as hypocrites. Then comes the question, are evildoers better than hypocrites simply because they're honest about their desires? But the 2024 version flips the script.
I need you to be brave.
Watkins' message is far clearer. Bad is bad, period. Patty's constant attempts to blur the moral lines don't succeed.
Now you're parenting our child.
He tries to paint Louise and Ben as hypocrites, as if to say, we're not that different deep down, you and I. But it's obvious that's a lie. By the end, Patty is killed by Ant, who smashes his head in with a brick. It feels like the film is shouting, enough of this nonsense. The remake doesn't hold back, but it's less morally confusing. It delivers a brutal but satisfying conclusion, where the good guys win. That being said, I don't want to diminish the 2022 version. I actually appreciate how it makes you think. It raises unexpected questions and can even spark some interesting discussions about today's world. Whether it's about political polarization or environmental views, the two films leave plenty of room for interpretation. Lastly, I have to mention the casting and performances, especially James McAvoy as Patty. From his nuanced performance to his bulked-up physique, everything about him screamed Predator. The rest of the cast was fantastic too. As for the 2024 Speak No Evil, I'd give it a rating. Fear not and watch. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.